r/antiwork. Bigger 9 Better says, there is no inflation, boys and girls. If any of you have watched CNBC or Dating Myself, FNN in the day, you should have noticed how they report inflation has changed a bit. Today, there's little inflation unless you need, let's see, to eat or drive. Perhaps your car doesn't run on fairy dust and you need to put gasoline. Happily, I'd imagine you all live in a van down by the river, yay. Included photo. Limalorn Churkrasha says, I mean yeah, if you just ignore data you can say anything. Global Mix 1786 says, as long as you don't need to eat or use electricity, you're just fine. Zertoman says, Krugman wants, like most politicos, to completely sever CPI from inflation. On one hand he's not wrong, because he's a banker and those numbers don't affect interest rates. In the other hand, that's how average citizens measure the economy. They measure it at the gas pump and at the grocery store. Interest rates between banks mean very little when you can't buy bread. Dobson says, I predicted this. Well, I mean, anyone could have guessed it, related to general prices, that once the prices are increased due to inflation as the stated reason and greed as the actual reason, they won't come back down. It has been at least 2 years, and we haven't been dying of starvation in the streets, not a majority at least, yet, so they just keep it artificially increased to rake in more money. Gweb 1920 says, well, this is people missing the point. The way inflation is calculated in the US, the shelter component lags by 3 to 6 months. The food and energy are volatile. What they are showing here is a structural inflation caused by money printing and controlled by interest rates are appearing to come back to normal. Good news. Frozen8R says, Paul Krugman is proof the Nobel Prize is worthless. Zeathaland says, I always want to ask these people, if inflation is gone, why the hell is shit still so expensive? Aspophilia says, my $1,000 month food bill says that's a lie. Good Astronomer 1138 says, ah yes, if we get rid of all the data points I don't like muddying up my result, we get the one I like. r/antiwork. Market Sierra Dude says, vent from $500 to $20,000 a day in sales, but still no raise. My story. I need to vent because I'm feeling incredibly frustrated about my current situation at work. For over a year and a half, I've been managing my company's Shopify website. When I started, $500 a day in sales was considered a good day. I put in a ton of effort improving SEO, product listings, marketing strategies, and customer experience, and the results were undeniable. Now, it's not unusual to see days where sales hit $5,000,10,000 and on really good days, we even hit $20,000. What once felt like a milestone now feels like the baseline, and I was proud of the role I played in making that transformation happen. Recently, I decided it was time to ask for a raise. I thought my contributions were clear and that my request was reasonable. I've essentially helped multiply the company's daily revenue by 10x, and I don't even get health insurance as part of my compensation. When I brought it up, I got hit with a casual look into it. No follow-up. No acknowledgement of my impact. Nothing. It was deflating, to say the least. It felt like my work, my dedication, and the results I delivered didn't matter. The truth is, I really wanted to grow with this company. From the day I was hired, I saw the potential here and was sold on the idea of growing alongside them. In the past, I never wanted to start my own business. I liked the safety blanket of being able to close my computer at the end of the day, knowing I didn't need to take work home or be on top of things 24/7. But now, it feels like Thief left me no other option. I don't know what I'm looking for by writing this. Maybe advice? Maybe someone has been in my shoes? This has been boiling in me for weeks, and I just needed to get it out somewhere. Thanks for Tech 7,271,970 says. Hit them with facts. If they are indifferent, you have your course of action. Desperate Terabit says. Good news, you have proof that your skills work. Now you know what they're worth. Time to start shopping your resume out to other companies. No need to tell your current employer, since they've indicated they don't give a shit. Get moving. Quit wasting your time and energy on a company that doesn't value you or your contribution to their success. Additional Stay 4355 says. Push them a little harder. If it's like my company, they're waiting for you to come to them with a number. Untoasted Brioche says. Good news. You made them rich. Bad news. You made them rich. Good news. Quiet quit so the new listing and shit doesn't get updated or improved. Undo your work to the point it's still legal by not doing it. Even better news. You now have necessary skills some who wants to pay good money for, or you can take your skills create your own e-commerce business. You're still alive, still have time to learn, and even take advantage of this BS experience you had to endure. But yeah. You won't see that 20k. Some commission-based companies cap commission and pay altogether. People be sheeple says. Learn to sell yourself and learn how to negotiate for more money. Sales and negotiation are learnable skills. There are tons of books that can teach you how. People who learn to do those things well make more money and feel empowered and fulfilled. It's something you have to do for yourself. It doesn't get handed to you. Madtown Mitch says. Schedule a meeting. Bring the facts and let them know that it is your goal to grow with them, but part of that commitment from you should include increased pay and benefits from them. They may see things slightly differently, thinking maybe their product is just better, or they invested in marketing, or whatever. But let them know the metrics, and that your goal is to continue to find ways to add value. If they still refuse, don't threaten to leave, just quietly start looking for other opportunities. Your skills are a hot commodity in a lot of areas. r/antiwork. Sra Worldwide says. Told if I called in sick I would be fired. I'm having the worst flu and sickness right now, and I had to come to work because I was told I would be fired if I didn't. I'm throwing up and dizzy and feverish at work, but hey, at least I have my job. Flavius Lascivious says. Call the health department, they may be interested, even if it's just an office. My employer had an epidemic of flu and B at the same time in January 2020, 250 workers out sick because the company was a thing about time off. Someone contacted the health department who investigated and found out 6 workers also had COVID. They shut the place down and everyone went remote. You never know. Turn them in. Somerset 76 says. Lick your hand and wipe it on your manager's phone. Additional Set 797 says. Norovirus is going around in many places. Don't know if that's what you have, but it's highly contagious and horrible. If you work anywhere near the public you have a big chance of getting a lot of people sick. Naughty Orchid from Motown says. Take some Ipecac. It sounds like you won't need much when in 15 to 20 minutes. You will have the opportunity to speak with your boss. Meanwhile, eat some saltines and have a little fizzy drink of your choice. If you time it right, you can projectile vomit all over him. A few years ago my youngest was in a similar situation. After interrupting his manager by telling him that he really needed to go home. While the manager was berating him for interrupting and having the audacity to ask to be excused, he managed to spew all over the manger and, as it turned out, right in front of a major customer. Stavert now says. No job is worth that bullshit. It's dehumanizing and abusive. Gtfo. Impossible, it says. I wold threw up on the manager. But that's just me. Action Boyce says. Throw up all over the place, sneeze in the boss's face, and then faint out in front of customers and the boss. Thuldus not okay says. Sounds to me like you need to have a meeting with your manager in their office with the door closed while sitting very close and without any tissues handy to cover your face while coughing. Vomit on their desk if possible. Numerous expression 2 says. Clock in, get dizzy, call ambulance, go to hospital. Employer required you to come to work, they can pay for you getting worse. r/antiwork. Psycho Bunny Cutie says. I have a viral contagious stomach flu and I'm being told to find my own coverage or come in. But no one is replying. Why would they? It's Sunday. I gave the right notice, doctor notes, was open about what was going on, communication. I'm hella sick, vomiting, sweating, chills, and I haven't stopped shitting. I work in food service BTW. Shadowwalker 125 says. Frick em. Finding coverage is management duty, not yours. Psycho Bunny Cutie says. I agree, but he won't do it. We are hella short staffed and he's going on about labor, but he's the owner. To me, I don't think that affects labor since he never clocks in. Fat Green Maid says. You've called out. Stop responding to work. Turn your phone off and be sick in peace. Queetlifter says. Your local health department would be very interested to know your employer expects you to work while clearly ill. It's your manager's responsibility to find coverage. If they can't, then they need to work your position themselves. Dunderlabin says. Managers need to manage. Tatia says. You could show up and cause the place to close down until they do a mandatory deep clean. Psycho Bunny Cutie says. Also, they have known I've been sick for the last 2 days. But now I'm being guilted. 250 Darkster says. I think sometimes when management does this, it's because they want us to show up to work and embarrass ourselves by throwing up all over everything and in front of customers as penance for the sin of having a human body. Personally, I wouldn't want a meal in a place someone got their contagious germs all over, so really it's a customer service issue and IDK why they can't figure that out. Kiwima says. Not your job to find coverage. If you are sick, then you are sick. Professor says. The fines will be all yours, and you're the one who will have their food service worker card pulled by the health department if you go in. What are they going to do? Fire you? If they do, so what? It's not like there aren't other shitty food service jobs. Chris Endu says. Get their failure to comply in writing. You have a doctor note. Make sure you record how they reject the doctor's opinion. Email or text is great, and if you at least show you intended to communicate the doctor note and condition of health, you should be okay. Also, call your doctor and plead with them for protection. Use sick time off, if you have any, so you will be paid for your absence. If you are fired, call an employment lawyer to hopefully get reinstated / collect unemployment / damages, if any. For a public health / food establishment, firing you for symptoms you mentioned would be illegal. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.